Hello everybody, my name is Beck. Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. It's currently 6:26 a.m. in the morning. You probably can't see it. It's a Saturday. I've decided that today I'm going to be doing a 24-hour reading challenge because I'm currently 19 books behind on my reading goal, and I would like to hit the 200 books of this year. In order to kind of stay on the task of reading the books that I have on my NetGalley, it is a NetGalley arc week, but I also have some books that I borrow from the library that I also like to, well, I only have one book from the library that I like to finish. It's kind of causing me into a reading slump. I've been reading bits and pieces every couple of days just to like go through it. I do want to finish it, but at the same time I don't. So I would read like about 15 minutes every morning. So that would be The Days at the Tarunka Cafe by Satoshi Yagisawa. I've been reading this one. I'm currently 51%, estimate about 2 more hours left in this book. And like I said, I've been reading 15 to 20 minutes every morning. That's my daily routine, and the goal is to read for 24 hours in total. So I will be sleeping, I will be eating, I will be functioning as a normal human being in between. It's not 24 hours straight, it's just 24 hours collectively. I will start reading this and see if I can finish it sometime today. I don't know what book I'm gonna read next. I do, like I said, have some NetGalley arcs I'd like to finish. Days at the Tarunka Cafe about. It's Japanese translated literature. Is about the daily lives of people who visit the cafes and their backstory. It's linked together, even though it's like separated into like I think 4, maybe 3 to 4 short stories, and their lives are interlinked some way or another. If I don't make any sense, I haven't slept yet. Since I'm not sleeping, I might as well read some books and actually make a dent in my pile. I went from being 33 books behind to 18 books, so I have somehow managed to claw myself out of this pit in the last 2 weeks, and it's been insane. So yeah, I was like 33 books behind and now I'm 18 books behind. I'm hoping to finish at least 4 books in this 24-hour reading challenge. My NetGalley, and I also have this as well, but this isn't exactly romance, so I don't think it counts. It's more like a slice of life. I'm not loving this book, that's why I'm struggling. The physical book is only about like 200 something pages, but this one for some reason I cannot. And I also changed my cover. I decorated my cover, and then I realized that I didn't particularly like how it felt when I was reading it, so I switched back to this all cover. There's some issues with the magnet, and that's why I'm back to this. I'm going to start my timer the moment I open the book, so it's more fair that way. See you guys in my next clip. Hopefully I remember to film this, because I've been attempting to like film reading vlogs for the past I don't know how many months at this point. I never end up like posting most of them, so hello, hi, my latest update is currently 8:41 a.m. I did finish Days at the Tarunka Cafe. I think it took about like an hour and a half-ish to finish the remaining 50 something percent. It was actually only 3 parts of the story, so the story revolves around 3 characters and their stories and the reason why they are linked to this cafe. So it kind of reminds me of Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I haven't read that book yet, but the vibes was giving that. Japanese translated literature. If you're looking for something cozy and fun and whimsical, you're not going to get it from here, because this is, I wouldn't say dark. Okay, dark is not the correct term. I guess heavy topics, talking about grief and illness, sickness and all of that. Speaking of which, the second story in this book, I won't spoil it for anybody. I kind of wanted to know what happened to the person. It kind of left up for your interpretation of what could possibly happen, and there's no like epilogue towards like the end of the story, and I felt at times it was very slow, and towards the end it just like rapid fire wrap up. I don't know, I feel like some things are lost in translation and it wasn't the most enjoyable time. I almost did cry for the last story. I have very mixed bag reviews about this particular book, and I am probably not the best person to be reviewing this book with 0 amount of sleep. But I started reading this book when I had adequate amount of sleep, and I was thinking to myself, at most I can only give this book like 3 out of 5. And I did actually round it up because I was a bit iffy with certain things that was mentioned throughout the book. I don't know if it's something lost in translation, but certain parts made me very uncomfortable, especially when teenage girls were brought up in this book, because one of our main characters in this book, reoccurring, her body gets mentioned a few times, and raised my eyebrows a little bit when it came into that. I don't know if I'm sensitive or I didn't pretty much appreciate how she was described. I don't know how to adequately explain myself, but it made me feel a bit uncomfy. I don't know if anybody has picked it up or if it's just me. So Days at the Toronto Cafe, I rated it a 3 out of 5. 3 stories, like 3 slice of life stories. It can be very heavy, so if you're looking for something cozy, maybe don't pick this one up. And I've heard Days at the Morizaki bookshop. I was meant to read this first, but unfortunately someone had borrowed this first, and I know this is a sequel for this one and the Toronto Cafe, but the Toronto Cafe has not been translated yet. And I saw this was available, and I heard better things about this particular story, but I'm not in the mood to read this one at the moment because I didn't exactly have a great time with Days at the Toronto Cafe, so I want to move on to a different author. And I have this book, and I had it for a while, so it's Marigold Mine Laundry by Jung-sum Yoon. I hope I pronounced that correctly, but it's supposed to be like a magical, whimsical read, cozy, and it does, I think it also deals with grief as well, spirits and stuff like that. It's supposed to be a little bit more whimsical. It is also translated literature, but a Korean translated literature. I feel like there's some nuance in some translations that I'm possibly missing out on, so I can't like fully enjoy the story, but I'm trying to read something different because this is my palette cleanser. I primarily read romance as my main genre, and these books are my palette cleanser. I know people read romance books as a palette cleanser, but not me. I use these as a palette cleanser, and I've had this for a while. I got this during like a half price sale, and I think I might read this. Like, I do want to read Days at the Morizaki bookshop, but I need a break from this author. Do want to read it. I think I'm going to do the routine of I will read like 15 to 20 minutes every morning, like I did for the Days at the Toronto Cafe. 22 hours, 28 minutes and 42 seconds left. I think this one might take me a couple of hours, maybe 5 or 6 hours to read, but we'll see. And I might actually procrastinate a little bit before I start on this book because I don't know. I'm hoping that I'm not in a reading slump. The reason why I had to like section out this book into small bite-sized pieces, if I didn't do that, I think I would have headed towards a reading slump because I was not enjoying it. I had high hopes, but I was not enjoying it, and I felt like I should have started with the bookshop's story first before the cafe. But alas, I will be picking up a romance, that's for sure. But I want to, while I'm still in the kick of reading something different, I might as well like go for this. I might read a thriller next. Who the hell knows with me? I am a mood reader. I'm actually getting hungry, so I might eat something first and then I will continue. This is why I don't do wrap-up videos and reading vlogs, because I don't know how to stop. Hi, I know the angle is atrocious. It is currently 7:15 a.m. the next day. I've been doom scrolling for like a good 10 hours. I wish I was exaggerating, but I'm not. The lighting is very ominous. It's currently raining outside, and let's just say that it's better the lighting is this way because I don't want to slap on any makeup. I haven't worn a single lick of makeup in these last couple of clips. I don't think I've worn makeup at all, but anyway, it's actually really hot. I don't know why I'm wearing this. I started reading Marigold Mine Laundry by Jung-sum Yoon, and I'm about 30% into it. I don't know if you can even tell from here. And I kind of got into a semi-reading slump. If I continue, I just know for a fact that I would stop reading completely. So 30% are at about 2-ish hours, and the text is actually like relatively small. There are images, not the best way of showing it with this lighting. Yeah, the text is actually pretty small. There's some graphics in the book. It's a collection of short stories, I would say. They're interconnected. a very strong thing with like translated literature. They do have a lot of at least the ones I read, out of all of translated literature, only one of them has been like a full story by itself, but there's a lot of like moving parts, a lot of interconnected short stories. But this one is more of a magic realism. It has to do with like a bit of fae powers, and there is like a timeline and a back and forth going on. I'm only 30% into the story, and there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of characters because it's like individual short stories. And the fact that I haven't been sleeping enough for the last couple of days, like I woke up at 11 p.m. yesterday and I have about 6 hours of sleep, and it's currently 7:15 a.m. I'm about to walk outside to do some grocery shopping, so I don't know how many hours I'm going to be reading today because I procrastinated a lot yesterday. So I read 30% of this after I finished my previous book. Not particularly enjoying this one. Don't know if I'm going to DNF for now. I'm definitely going to come back to it. I do want to see what happens in the end because it is like short story interconnected, so it's going to lead into something, and I've read something similar to this. It's different, but it's not something I haven't seen before, especially if you watch enough like Asian dramas growing up. You'll definitely come across this one. And since I was getting into a reading slump, I decided to pick up a different book, which is Goodnight Tokyo by Atsuhiro Yoshida. I had this for a while. I bought it a couple of months ago, maybe last year, during like a sale, and it's like another translated literature, except I needed something short and straight to the point. So it's only 172 pages, and I managed to finish this in like 2-ish hours, and that's the last thing I read. I just finished it like an hour ago. It's just like a slice of life, interconnected stories about people who have night lives. So that hence why it's Goodnight Tokyo. I don't know if I'm explaining it properly. In the beginning, it can be a bit confusing, but towards the end, it kind of meshes well. I wanted to like this. It was short. It was kind of to the point. There was some meaning behind, like, obviously behind everyone's story. But at the same time, if miscommunication or lack of communication is something that you do not want to read about, you're going to get it from here. A lot of the times, I understand, like, people have their own quirks and stuff. There's going to be a little bit of that in here. And towards the middle, I was kind of reading for the sake of seeing what was going to happen towards the end. I was like wondering what the goal of this book was, where the story was going to take me. I'm glad I did finish it. It was an okay read. And after that, I have 19 hours and 26 minutes and 47 seconds left because I procrastinated a lot. I spent more time looking for my next read than actually reading a damn book. I wanted to get out of my comfort zones because I usually just read romance, but occasionally I do read like translated literature, thrillers and all of that. I do like some paranormal aspects. I also like reading horror as a genre. I love watching horror movies. So I was like looking for the next book. I was considering of reading Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I've had this for a while as well. This is probably one of the earlier books that I have in my collection, and I was like, do I really want to read something politically driven, feminist, story pipeline, which I'm like interested in, but at the same time don't really want to read it. I just want to read something like contemporary romance for shocking. And then I saw this Most Valuable Playboy by Lauren Blakely. This sounds perfect, great, something I want to read. And then after this one, I'm most likely going to continue with my translated literature journey. So I'm thinking of reading Welcome to the Hyunam Bowen Bookshop. I have here, like all my translated literatures are like down here. So, and there is this thriller up here that's YA thriller that I might be reading, but who knows. As a mood reader, I can't tell you what I want to read. But right now, I saw this and I was like, I want to read this. Sometimes I'm not in the mood to read something like this, but today is the day. I want to read The Most Valuable Playboy. Alas, it is currently 7:22 a.m. I'm gonna start reading this until like 8 a.m. and then I need to go to my local grocery store. The reason why I'm not going right now because last time I went at 7:20. So 20 minutes after it opened, they were still cleaning up and stocking up the shelf. I was in the way of people cleaning and I don't want to be a nuisance. So I'm thinking if I leave the house at 8 and I grab what I need to grab, I can get home at 8:30 and then I shower and do all of my stuff and then I can just read the whole day and not procrastinate. And hopefully I will sleep early and be back to a normal schedule because I have people to see and places to go on Monday and some work stuff to do So I need to be back from my nonsense. Anyway, let's hope my next update I'll be starting on this book and I will be actually reading. Anyway, I blabbed enough. See you in my next clip. Grass, I'm at a cafe. I'm outside. I'm seeing daylight. Look at you seeing us. Yeah. I won't feel bad. I swear I have someone there. I'm not talking to myself. There you go. That's all you get to see. Bye. Hello everybody and welcome back. I am finally updating. It's been a couple of days. I finished my reading challenge 2 days ago and I decided today is the day. I just went out to buy some groceries and I got myself like a little treat. I am gonna be so real. Sometimes I'll forget to update. So this is gonna be like a wrap-up style because I try filming. Sometimes I'll forget that I was actually doing this. I did stop for like 2 days. So it took about almost a week, about 5 or 6 days to complete this 24-hour reading challenge because I wasn't reading for 24 hours straight. I was reading for like consecutively 24 hours in total reading time. So in a realistic environment, at least for me, it'll take a week. So in my last clip, I said I was going to read The Most Valuable Playboy by Lauren Blakely. I did try to take snippets here and there, and there was actually a novella towards the end, so I did count that as 2 books. I know some people don't count novellas, mangas and stuff as a singular book, but I'm going to count it towards my reading challenge. The novella was The Most Irresistible Guy and the actual book is Most Valuable Playboy. So I did read the novella first and then I read the book because I was flipping through the pages to see like how many pages I have to read to kind of guesstimate how many hours I will have left to my reading challenge. And I saw the prequel first and then I read it first and then I read the actual book. Overall, this was a 3 out of 5 for me. It has since been updated because I think if you read it in its original form, it's a bit dated. Fake dating kind of as very straightforward, and if that's something that you want to have as a palate cleanser between books, this would be great. I'm not saying it's a bad book, but to me it's just a very straightforward rom-com-y kind of romance with fake dating elements. Brother's best friend sports romance, that's the trope. You don't necessarily have to read the novella, it's more like a nice bonus extra on top of it. And the actual story itself was fine. I had fun reading it. Don't know how long it took me to read this, but I'm sure I'll slap like a clip here and there to specify how long it took. I did try. And then Goodnight Tokyo by Itsuhiro Yoshida. I don't know if I mentioned it in my previous clip, but I did finish it. And I was a bit harsh because I didn't have enough sleep, but I fixed my sleeping pattern. I've been waking up at 5:30, well between 4:30 to 5:30 in the morning. Trust and believe that is a lot better than previously. I was sleeping between 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's when I wake up and my toxic cycle would begin itself. Now I fall asleep at 10:30 and I'll wake up at 4:30 to 5:30. Judgmental, more toxic when I was reading this. Overall, I went back to kind of briefly review what I've read in this 24-hour reading challenge, and I do stand by my rating system, but I'm a little less harsh when it comes to like how I review these books. So your mood actually does matter, so I try not to pick up certain books if I'm not in the mood to read it. Hence I'm a mood reader, to be a bit more fair. Overall, this was also a 3 out of 5. It had a very strong start, I would say. I was a little bit invested, but towards the end I was trying to speed things up to see where it was leading me to, because I was heading towards a reading slump due to my previous book, which is Marigold Mind Laundry. It's just this one I actually had to DNF at about 30%. I will eventually pick this one back up, but for now I am DNFing. Like I said, I'll get back to it one of these days. I wasn't invested in the characters, and again, it's probably because of my mood, but I did go back and kind of read it again when I had adequate amount of sleep, and I still thought to myself, this isn't really for me. And that's just my personal opinion. It has its whimsy, it had potential, but it just didn't work out for me. So I think at this point I got kind of sick of reading physical books, so I gravitated towards my Kindle and I read Heartbreak by Eva Simmons because I have the 4th book of the series from NetGalley. When I requested for it, I did not realize it was the 4th book of the series, so I decided that I was going to start from the 1st book and see if I can work through the series so I can finally make it to the arc. Well, it's no longer arc, it's already out. It's a rock star romance, and I do like to read out of my comfort zones when it comes to certain tropes. Rock star romance is not my thing, because I don't really like the playboy aspects, and it just borderlines on cheating, and that's really not my jam. For the most part it was okay. Basically the FMC and the MC was caught doing certain activities and it got leaked to the public, and the FMC's career, which she just recently graduated, once the tape was leaked, the FMC was put on hold for her career. In her whole entire life she has been a quote-unquote good girl, and she's never done anything like outrageous and slept with a random rock star. Not exactly a spoiler. Her best friend worked for this band, and the best friend was basically like, just go wild, you've never done anything crazy. They actually don't end up sleeping with each other, they just like did stuff with each other without clothes, and it got caught on camera, someone leaked it, and it's just a whole catastrophe. The MC just told her to go on tour with them since she's on hold with her job, she doesn't know where it's going, and then that's the romance between these two characters, and it talks about the ups and downs. It goes on to some pretty heavy topic, so you might want to check the trigger warnings before you go into this story. It does talk about death, drugs, and there is kind of like a plot twist towards the end, but you can kind of see it happening because it's been implied throughout the whole book. After I was done with it, I felt like I needed to read something more fluffy and cozy, and I just didn't want to read anything to do with Rockstar. So unfortunately, as much as I want to continue with the series to read the arc, I had to like pause on it. I'll get back to it eventually. I don't mind heavier topics, I don't mind dark romance, not that this is dark romance. Like, I can handle it, but sometimes I just don't want to read about it. Again, it depends on my mood, and I was just not in the mood for it after I read it. So that's been put on hold. I'll get back to the second and third book of the series so I can finally finish reading the arc that it's already been out. So I feel kind of bad for doing that, but at the same time I'm gonna put myself first. And then I went on to read some Omegaverse because, as the title suggests, it says a pack for awesome cozy verse. So I'm like, oh, a cozy Omegaverse romance. So the first book in this series was by Amelia Emerson. I think this is the same author that wrote His Tesoro, His Romeo, the mafia romance, and it didn't click until I was done and the books were recommended to me, and I'm like, oh, okay. I saw it on TikTok, somebody going to like Walmart in America, and it happened to be on the shelves, and I saw it. And then I really wanted to read it by that TikTok alone, and then the person was like, oh, it's crazy that Omegaverse is being published traditionally in these spaces, that you can just go to Walmart and buy it. And I had no idea, and that caught me so off guard because by the cover by itself I thought I was reading a cute autumn romance or something, or based in like a pumpkin spice latte kind of theme going on. But no, it's Omegaverse, and the topics super heavy. Does talk about grief, does talk about body image and all of that fun stuff. But usually I feel like Omegaverse romance in general, they do delve into like the heavy topics, and I was not expecting it. As you're reading through like first couple of pages of the book, they do, well, on the Kindle, they do warn you that despite its cover, despite how cute it looks, it's not meant for kids. They do specify it, the author does specify those kind of things and what to expect in this book, and I was just like, it really caught me off guard, but it's okay. But I did read the warnings and the labels and everything, and I went into it. It was okay. 3.5 out of 5. Despite the title saying it was cozy, I don't think it was that cozy, but it was an okay story. Again, read the trigger warnings before you delve into this book. Yeah, I don't know if I would personally say it's cozy, but it's Omegaverse. And then I did go on to read A Pack for Winter by Elena Lee, which is the second book of the series. And after reading the first book of the series, I kind of knew what I was getting for the second book. The first book was a bit more heavier, the second book was a bit more lighter, but it does talk about like death, abuse, and all that not so fun stuff. After reading those two stories, I think I had about 2-ish hours left, and I was like, time to read a novella to speed up the process and finally finish off my 24-hour reading challenge. And I also had this as an arc, so I had, what is this series called? So I had the Amazon original stories, and the series was called Home Sweet Holidays, and there was 4 stories, 4 novellas. So the first one was No Place Like Home by Laura Pavlo. I have her books here. I haven't read her actual like novels yet, but this was my introduction to Laura, and so far it's okay. The story was, again, brother's best friend, Christmas themed wedding. It was like a quick novella. I think it took about like 35-40 minutes for me to finish it, hence why in this reading challenge I managed to like squeeze in all 4 novellas. First story of this series, it was straightforward. It was okay. It didn't really do much for me. There's nothing wrong with the romance between the characters. I don't know how to explain it. If you've read something similar before, then you kind of can predict what's going to happen. It's like a brother's best friend situation. The MC turns out to be a now celebrity, grew up in like a not so good environment, moved away, pursued his bigger goals and dreams. The FMC, she recently broke up with her long-term boyfriend. They both had crushes on each other when they were growing up. It was a situation between like a brother's best friend. He was like, I'm gonna not pursue this relationship to destroy this friendship, that kind of ordeal. I don't know if I make any sense. I swear to you, I have enough sleep and I drank enough coffee. TLDR, 3.5 out of 5. And then the next one I got was All Wrapped Up in You by Rosie Dannon. I've read a Rosie Dannon book before. I've been sitting here for a very long time, so I have pins in it, so I have to adjust the way I'm sitting. So All Wrapped Up in You by Rosie Dannon, I thought it was funny, hilarious. 4 out of 5. It had more of a slapstick comedy, so outrageous that you would not expect this kind of meet cute to happen in real life. Our FMC finds a Smex toy in her parcel that's addressed to her neighbor that she's been texting throughout the weeks that he's moved in, like a new neighbor. Well, she was expecting a parcel, so when she opened it, she realized what it was, and she doesn't know how to like give back that parcel to the neighbor. There's a lot of like meet cute scenarios where she ends up in the hospital. It starts off like that. That's how you start off the story, and you just know it's like outrageous that it can possibly happen. Anyway, I did enjoy this story and I thought it was fun, so I rated this one 4 out of 5. I don't think most people have that kind of same outlook as me. And then I read Merry and Bright by Ali Rosen. I actually don't know this order of what I'm reading this because my Goodreads is not filtering it out properly, and I accidentally like unticked a book as I was scrolling through this, so it's gonna be a mess. I hope it didn't count towards my reading goal because I'm trying to hit that 200 book reading goal and I'm not trying to mess it up. So Mary and Bright by Ali Rosen, it kind of caught me off guard. At the beginning I wasn't really vibing well with the story, but midway through it, like a bombshell drops and it caught my attention because I like a little bit. Listen, sometimes I like a little bit of drama, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just want a cozy romance, but in a novella you kind of have to like grab someone's attention and get to the topic quickly because you only have so many pages. It gripped me, it caught my attention, and from that moment onwards I did really pay attention. I thought it was like a kind of bittersweet kind of story. That one was a 4 out of 5 for me. You kind of just have to go into it blind, trust and believe. I am not doing a great job in describing what I've just read. This is why I don't do wrap up videos, and most of the time these sorts of videos don't make it to the end goal because I just ramble so much. I've been yapping for 21 minutes, so hopefully I will cut out majority of this. And last but not least, I got You Better Not Pout by Mia Sosa. This was my least favorite story, and it was the final stories of this like novella collection, and I didn't like it. I'm so sorry. It's a second chance romance where 2 characters, I wish they never got together in the first place because it was mainly, to me at least, it was mainly about physical attraction and a lot of unresolved issues that they never really discussed about before getting into a relationship, and now that they're struggling to figure it out. Since it's a novella, it's very hard to judge on that relationship. You don't have like a bit more background information, but from what I've read from this novella, it has 51 pages. I'm not liking the relationship, and that's on me. That's my personal opinion. The 24-hour clock actually rung halfway through when I was reading this, so I read 3.5 novellas, and then the 24-hour reading challenge was over. In 24 hours, I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 books. And if we're going to discount novellas, I read 6 novels and the rest were novellas. So discount the novellas, then I've read 6 books. But including the novellas, I read 11 books. So a win is a win. And I was 33 books behind my reading challenge. And I have since managed to claw my way up, and now I'm 10 books behind because after the 24-hour reading challenge, I managed to read 2 more books. In the last couple of weeks, I've been working really hard towards my reading goal. In between my reading challenge, I did go outside and I borrowed 2 books from my local library. This is unfortunately the second book of the series, so I don't know whether or not to start it, but this one I can read it as a standalone because it's just like a non-fiction book about cats that I follow this creator on TikTok. So I'm really glad to finally pick this one up because this book is pretty expensive. So it's Poet Square by Courtney. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Her story is about her taking care of the cats that she found in her new new house that she's renting with her current partner boyfriend. So, and that's their story about the cats, and I've been following them since like the pandemic era. Very excited to read this. If you actually enjoy my rambly talking videos, let me know if you want to see more of this. For the most part, I find myself really irritating, and editing this is going to be an absolute nightmare, and hence why I don't really do much of these things. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below if you have anything you'd like to say to me, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more content from me, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!